I was talking over the last couple of days about hospitality and hotels and restaurants and pubs and staff and how the staff were treated and customers, and that there seems to be a bit more of a tetchy type of customer knocking around. Got a lot of calls and texts on that. And then I was wondering, has it to do with the fact that maybe people are feeling that the service has got a little bit poorer, that the staff aren't trained, or there's not enough around? Of course, that could be all COVID related. A lot of them left the industry, didn't go back, got other jobs. Others then perhaps of the pup payment, which is now being reduced. But I then came across the fact that for the second year in a row, Kinsale have cancelled their gourmet weekend. They just miss, that festival actually just misses the last reopening of Ireland on the 22nd of October. So they're about a week off for that. But I was just curious as to how things were, because I'm told as well the big problem in Kinsale is not being able to get staff, and more to the point, I believe, chefs. So Liam Edwards has Jim Edwards in Kinsale. Liam, good morning.
Good morning, how are you doing?
How much of that have I got wrong? How much of that is accurate or inaccurate, please?
It's actually on the button, really. There's a lot of factors kind of put into the scenario, and then I think when we get right to the end, it's just been it's the biggest crisis I think this industry has ever faced.
Staff, is it?
Staff, yeah. I mean, the chef shortage, I suppose what you touched on was happening pre-pandemic. There was a chef shortage, but I do think, as you said earlier, that there is a lot of chefs have left the industry during the lockdown. They kind of looked at the industry and said, is it as secure as it has been? You know, we're always competing with unsociable hours. That's a global problem, you know.
Yeah.
So I do think chefs left the industry and they haven't come back. So we haven't been able to recruit as well, which has been a big factor. We often recruit from abroad. Obviously, during the pandemic, we couldn't recruit from abroad because we didn't even know from one month to another month what day we were opening. Was it outdoor or indoor? So we couldn't really attract staff from abroad as well. So
and a lot had gone back to their own countries. An awful lot of people working in hospitality, hadn't they?
Yeah. There's a lot of people left the country. You know, I mean, they wanted their home security. When something like this happened, I suppose the people want to be at home. You know, I suppose they had family at home as well, so they wanted to go home. And I suppose that was probably a catalyst for them to get home sooner rather than later. So I think we definitely lost a lot for that reason.
And is there nothing you can do about the hours? I mean, surely there's something you can do about the pay.
Yeah, look, I think what you're seeing then in and around the areas, you are seeing the reason they're closing Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Like, it's been in our DNA for the last 50 years to open 7 days a week. We're now looking like we will have to close 1 day a week. Most of that, people might argue with this is to protect the staff. I've never asked my staff to do more than 40 hours a week, and I would never ask them to do more than 40 hours a week. Because staff retention is key. I realise that, look, as well as we can't recruit staff, we need to retain the staff that we have, so I need to protect the staff we have. You see a reduction in opening hours. You see, like, I suppose 4 years ago we would have opened at 12. Our last orders would be 10. We're now opening at 12 and our last orders is 8:30.
Okay. But are there, I mean, is it still actual chefs in the kitchen? Many of the kitchens, I mean, I'm not going to hone in on any particular establishment, but I'm hearing as well that unfortunately it's so bad that there possibly are people cooking food in kitchens that aren't chefs now.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that. You know, I mean, I would rather close my doors and not have professionals in my kitchen. You know, yeah. And I think that would be most restaurants would operate like that. You know, that will only come back to bite you. You know, I mean, when people come in I always say when customers come in your door, they don't need your stop story. They're paying good money. They want good service and they want good food. And you know, we can't cry on their shoulder and tell them this and that. So I mean, the reasons why restaurants would close Monday and Tuesdays mean that they're fully staffed then for a Wednesday. That they're not understaffed on a Wednesday, so they're providing a full service to any paying customer.
Yeah, I know. You're very reliant on students, though, who are getting PUP as well, you see.
Yeah, I suppose not as much in Kinsale, but I suppose what we're seeing here now is, like, I will tell you, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I didn't have one over 18 person come into me during the summer looking for a job.
No one looking for work?
Nobody over the age of 18.
Would they normally?
Yes. Maybe, and I mean, I suppose not everybody was on the PUP payment, and maybe it was just kids who were locked down for the last 18 months, just wanted to have a good summer. You know, don't blame them for that either. You know, you're only young once. But yeah, and I will say as well, I think the 17-year-olds that did come into our establishment, and a lot of restaurants have commented on it, they were great staff. They might have been inexperienced, but there was a great willingness to work. I don't know, did they come out of COVID with just a willingness to socialise? I don't know. They were a great bunch of staff anyway, so we were lucky that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's heading, it's just spiralling. It's getting worse and worse. I don't know what the answer is, to be quite honest.
What's getting worse though? Staff?
The staff situation. The staff situation is, it's like, we have another issue here in Kinsale, is that the cost of renting Kinsale, the cost of renting a room in Kinsale is just unreal, you know. So, so like trying to attract staff into Kinsale without accommodation is another issue, you know. So
is there no availability or something?
There's
shortage?
Absolutely no availability. There's absolutely nothing in Kinsale.
And the establishments like yourself for the White Lady, Man Friday, Acton's, the Trident, Bullman, Fishy, Blue Haven, they're just some that come to the top of my head. You can't provide accommodation with the job, no?
Well, we do. We have rooms upstairs. We do rooms upstairs. I actually had 2 staff for the whole summer in one of those guest rooms. I had 2 staff. I accommodated 2 staff in my rooms for the whole summer because they couldn't find accommodation, and I needed the staff. Yeah, so a lot of that is going on at the moment.
So what would attract staff back?
Look, I suppose I love this industry and I never apologise. I think everybody in their life should work in this industry for some time. It's a great life skill, you know. What will attract staff back? Short term, look, we need to kind of get to the students who are not going through the 3rd level education and maybe are looking for something else to do. You know, we lost CERT 30 years ago, which is an absolute scandalous situation. We have no national training body in this government, no national training body, and tourism, they say, is one of the biggest industries.
Yeah, we have nowhere to train people in hospitality.
We have nowhere to train chefs, no proper training body. Like somewhere like France would have hundreds.
That's
you know,
bizarre.
we don't have one, you know, which is an oversight, which is a massive oversight, you know.
So is the Gourmet Festival gone now for the 2nd year?
It's gone for the 2nd year, yeah. We were a week out, you know, but I think with the situation, I think we were all head down for the summer, so I don't think we would have been able to kind of host it anyway. But it would have been a hard task anyway, you know.
On the basis of staffing, is it?
That would have been one of the major factors, you know. And time management was a big key. And, you know, these festivals don't happen just on the day, you know. There's a lot of work goes into these festivals, and, you know, there's a lot of work needed by the chefs as well, because it was a food festival as such, you know. So a lot of brains put together with the chefs, and they would be meeting normally in May, June, coming up with ideas for this festival. So obviously that wouldn't have happened anyway.
Could I ask you a question? I meant to ask people this before, but you know, with people in restaurants and hotels and all of the produce and you know, stock and everything, were suppliers good about that? Did they take things back and what have you?
Yeah, I'd say 90% of suppliers actually were understanding. You know, I think we were all in it together, really, as I said from the start. But I do feel with the restaurant industry that they were. I think there was a general understanding of, you know, that the situation was out of our control, and they did work with us, you know. And I do think like they did 90% of the suppliers, you know, they understood the payments. They understood. They stalled the payments, and, you know, we kind of, when we got back together, you know, we looked after each other, you know. And again, they have to look at the bigger picture here, you know. I mean, we're always going to come out of it at some stage, you know. So I do think, you know, anything less than looking after us would have been short-sighted, and they would have lost their business maybe.
Yeah, like we don't have tipping in Ireland, so it's not a possibility of, you know, you can't match. You know, a lot of people went to work in Lidl and went to work in Aldi and supermarkets and stuff. You can't match that kind of pay, you can't. Can you? You can. I mean, you don't like this industry is very labour intensive. You know that yourself. You know, so I mean, this is why maybe the wages aren't as we can't compete with a lot of other industries, because, you know, and like in the depths of winter, I would still need 9 staff to open my premises. You know, and I mightn't get my first customer till 1 o'clock, and I might get my last customer at 7, and, you know, and that's the way the industry is. So you have to do that. But I mean, there is a tipping culture in Ireland. Don't get me wrong. The Irish are very good to tip. So and that is all given to staff. You know, 100% given to staff. You know, so I know the Americans are deemed as the biggest tippers, but the Irish, let me tell you, they're very good tippers. When they get the good service and get the good food, they will tip you. And you're not finding them cranky? We were talking a lot about cranky customers yesterday, no?
Look, I felt sorry for some people, you know, because at times when a lot of restaurants were closed and there was the high volume of people in Kinsale, there wasn't enough bums and seats for the amount of people that were in there. So my advice was always, like, if you were staying in a hotel, you had to book your restaurant, you had to book your swimming pool, you had to book your breakfast. Why didn't you book your restaurant? Why didn't you? No, you should have booked your restaurant in advance, you know, because it was out of our control, really, at times. You know, we couldn't open our premises fully because of the staff shortage. So that was a lot of places as well, you know. So, yeah, so when they came to the 4th or 5th restaurant and they were saying there was no room, maybe they were getting a little bit irate at that.
Yeah, I know. Chris actually is suggesting here by text that if you want to bring in staff from overseas, that the government should initiate perhaps a 2 to 3 year tax exemption for anyone coming in from overseas to work in hospitality. What do you think of that? Come to Ireland, work tax-free for 3 years.
I don't know about that. I think there's a bit of a segregation there. But I will tell you, like, if I was to start applying for a chef now, the whole process would take me 18 weeks and it would cost me €2,000. 18 weeks.
Yeah, but what choice do you have?
I have no choice. But at the moment, I mean, COVID is still an issue, like, you know, so I mean, people kind of moving to new countries, looking for jobs, we're probably just not there yet, you know, so it's another factor that we have to build in, you know, but we have no choice. Okay. That's where we'll have to go immediately.
But in spite of everything else, Kinsale is still open for business.
It's still open for business, yes, and my advice would be maybe definitely in the weekends before you come to Kinsale, book your restaurant in advance.
You still doing those super steaks there?
We're still steak and seafood, so yeah, we're still, our 50th year in business this year, so I think our 50-year anniversary will come up in 2 weeks, so
all right, well,
we'll do something.
All right, well, let me know what you're doing for that event, and happy 50th anniversary. Cheers, Liam.
Okay. Thanks very much.
It's Liam Edwards at Jim Edwards in Kinsale. Worth a visit if you've never been.
Neil Prendeville, the voice of Cork. Weekdays 9 to 12. Cork's Red FM.